Hey, Andrew and girls. Just kind of show you the two different colonies and the different activity level. This is my larger colony. So in that tube, I've got sugar water in there. So I just have a cotton ball shoved in, and from the other side I put sugar water in, and it soaks through the cotton. So they'll feed on that. I've got a little piece of apple and a piece of tomato, as well as an M&M. They're not as interested in the M&M. And then that little glob down there next to the M&M and the apple is actually sugar, or I'm sorry, honey, a drop of honey. And what they do is they actually cover it with sand. Now, I understand they'll do this for if it's something that they believe is toxic. They'll also do it to suck up the honey or sugar water and carry it back into the nest. So this is a colony. It's got the honeypot ants. I'll probably pause and come back in a moment and show you a picture of actually in the nest. When I shut the light off, they'll become more active. More ants will come out. As you can see, they are incredibly quick. But more ants will come out. That's that colony. And over here is my second surviving colony. Got one ant out, you can see, and then kind of hard to see, but they're in there. It's their little nest. And this is a colony I was talking to you about that the queen died, but there's still some remaining worker ants. And when the queen died, she had already laid some eggs, so there were 4 ants when she died. There's 3 left. 1 ant died, probably because of age, about 6 months old. But what you can see right there, that big white mass, that's actually a pupate. So it goes from an egg to a larvae, which looks like any little larvae, kind of like a little worm. And it goes into pupate. And from that pupate, it will emerge as an ant. The ant will come out slightly white and soft. It takes about a day for the color, to I don't know the word, but for the ant to become darker. I mean, when they come out, they're completely white. But there is a mouth on that pupate, so they'll feed it. And I think you can see kind of behind the ant, there's a little piece of a mealworm there that they've been feeding it. And then that little thing that they're on, that little plastic translucent piece, that's what we call the water tower. So what I do, shift this around here, is there's that little tube. See if I can focus. And from there, I just inject it with a syringe, and I just inject water into there, and there's just a fine mesh on the top that they sit on. And that's how I keep the nest humid, keep it hydrated. So that's that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give them a mealworm. So for the young ones, go ahead and turn away. So here's a mealworm. I'm gonna give that to my ants. So it's been in the refrigerator, so it's just warming up. So I'm gonna pause, prep this to feed our little guys, and then I will probably shut the light off, come back in a few minutes. Let me see here. Saw something going on over here, so I thought it. So you can see this ant right here on the apple is significantly larger, and the larger ones eventually turned into the honeypot ants. You can just see if I can find another one so you can see the size. Nope, they've pretty much all gone. I think I saw one, yeah. But there's definitely a difference in size. I know the first ants of a colony are definitely larger, but I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and I'll come back here in a moment. Okay. So put a little bit of mealworm in there. Focus here. And I'm sorry, girls. I know this is probably a little graphic, but you can't. These ants are too small. They can't get through the exoskeleton of the mealworm. So I've got to process it. We'll use that term. It's politically correct, right? I'll make sure when I send the link, I tell Andrew and Gina to watch it first. But anyway, nature. So I process it so they can get all the soft, gooey insides. Now, the adult ants really don't eat the protein. That's more for the pupite. They like the sugar water, the sweets, stuff like that. kind of see. And what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to carry this into the nest, and then they'll just kind of surround the pupae around it so that the pupae and the larvae can actually feed off it, which they're growing, and they need the protein. So the ants that know it's there, they're going to lay down a chemical trail saying there's food, something good. With the light, it's hard to say, but if I had, just the red light on, what typically will happen is you're going to start seeing ants emerge at a relatively quick pace. They're going to help try to drag this back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit pause. I'm going to turn the lights off, turn the red light on, and see if I can, capture them pulling that little piece of the mealworm back into the nest. So as soon as something happens, I will be right back. Okay, you can see more ants have come out. They're gonna, once they get focused on getting this guy in, they're not gonna care about the light, but they're still somewhat unsure, so they're gonna run back into the nest. Let's see if I can shift this around here. Sorry. Make it a little bit easier to see. Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna hit pause again. I'd like to, as entertaining as this is for me, it's probably incredibly boring for you guys. And what you might see with this ant right now is it might start picking up sand and walking it over to the mealworm. It is something I've noticed, which is kind of interesting, that they'll just kind of, put sand around, food, whether it be honey, sugar. It's kind of fascinating. I've heard that's just something ants do. So kind of interesting behavior. See if I can. So you can see it right there, collecting sand. So I'll go ahead and pause and I will return. Okay, here we are, active again. As soon as the light goes out, they get real active. I like to see them. It's always fun to watch them carry it back into the nest because they kind of fight each other. It's one's pulling, one's pushing, and one's dragging. It's always quite entertaining to watch them. There they are. What's going on over here? All the activity is. Well, let's see if we can't see inside the nest. They definitely don't like the light. So let's see if I can see it through the red film. No, so I'm going to just pull this back. Let's see what we can. They're going to get all crazy as soon as I do this. Okay. There's quite a bunch of them in there. So you can see the queen, which is obviously the largest one. Then you can see the honey. Well, let me see here, because I can see one honeypot ant. Looks like two honeypot. I don't see the main one yet. Sorry for whether you can see all the larvae back there. Yeah, it looks like I've got several honeypots, and you can see that by the gaster, the rear. I think this big one right in front of us, I think that's either the honeypot and the queen is behind her, but you can definitely see that there's multiple honeypots, which is just awesome. You can see that one walking around the back is starting to swell up, to the kind of the right of the screen. Yeah, okay. So you can see right in front the largest ant. That's the queen. Slightly behind it, you saw it kind of move just to the left of the queen, and that's the honeypot. This is just like that other colony I showed you earlier. You've got the water tower there that I feed from, or I hydrate from outside. But you can definitely see the difference in the different ants' size and the honeypot, the repletes, the You can see the big honeypot ant right behind the queen there. It looks like honey goldish brown, and then you can, there's definitely more. That's awesome. I'm excited. You know, it's a weird thing to be excited about, but you know, it's, from what I understand, it's rare to catch them. It's even harder to keep them. So I'm stoked. But yeah, you can definitely see that there's more. Yeah, you can see that one kind of to the left of the screen, that replete. You can see one to the right. I can almost see 4 of them. Queen's starting to move out of the way. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so we can get a better angle. So there we go. So you see the big replete right there, the honey color. And that is very, very cool. I think there's, so ordered myself a new formicarium from Tar Heel Ants, which I'm sure will come anytime, and slowly try to move these guys over to their new home. For the you'll see the ants are going to try to move the workers are going to try to move the perceived threat, which is the light, and you're going to see them try to move them away. And you know, some ant keepers just, and again, I'm a very new ant keeper, so this is all very new to me, but a lot of them will expose them to light on a more regular basis. My thought process by not exposing them to light is it'll help me kind of in their behavior. If I want to move them to a new formicarium, I can make one formicarium very dark and pleasant and nice and humid form, while I will shine a bunch of light on this one and let the water tower dry out and hopefully get them to move into a more suitable home. But you know, you can definitely see how big they can get, at least. And you saw that little light colored one, Andrew, walking just a minute ago, and that's what when they first emerge from I think a cocoon, you know, from a pupate to an actual ant, they're much lighter in color and they darken up over time. And you can kind of see one that was a lighter color walk through a second ago. And that, yeah, that's a newly emerged ant. But, you know, to think that I started with just the queen, you know, she was the only one I started out with, and I was back in September. Yeah, you can see the left of the screen there, the one that's kind of different in color. Pretty noticeable, and that's a fresher ant. That's a newly emerged ant, younger, and it'll darken up just like the rest of them in a day or two. So I think I'm going to leave these guys alone, at least the nest. I hate doing this to them because they definitely stresses them out. That can't be good. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Okay. So you got one ant feeding on the mealworm there. And as I was telling you, Andrew, I saw the interesting behavior the last few nights where I left a piece of tomato and an apple out, where they brought the pupae out sometime in the night and kind of surrounded the tomato. I'm hoping to catch that later, so I'm going to end this video, and then if I catch it later, I'll pick up where I left off. So 13 minutes. This has gotten relatively long, and since I'm doing this off my camera phone, I don't have a lot of editing capability, so I'll just throw this in there and hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Good night. What's kind of cool, the gaster, the very back end of them, when they're feeding, you can actually see it get larger, which is cool. When they're feeding on honey, it's definitely noticeable. So, all right. Have a good night, guys.